Okay, welcome to Squarespace.com, sponsored by Dos Cincos. I mean,
Sponsored by Dos Cincos. Wait, I'm not ready. Never mind.
Why aren't you ready?
No, I just wanted that to be the first joke.
Oh, trust me, that's gonna definitely end up on
not
for
as
sure.
Not as good as last week, but
you're that guy who like waits 3 hours in line for a roller coaster, gets on, and when it's going up, it's like, wait, I changed my mind.
yeah.
I don't like heights. I don't like heights. I don't like heights. I don't want to do this anymore.
And then I wave to the attendant to stop the ride and ruin everyone's good time.
Yep.
Hang on, I gotta go into Windows now.
Alright, we have to hack the main system CPU with the Visual Basic GUI.
Yeah. Track the IP address.
Just gonna start with me sobbing. All right.
Yeah.
So, all right, we'll count it in.
Count what?
We're gonna count it in.
Okay.
All right, 3.
Wait.
2.
You're recording right now. What are you talking about?
I am. But this is for me, my cue. All right, so thank you for joining us for our second episode of the Dos and a Half Cinos, or Cincos, or depending on how the straw poll works out. We're still working on the title. Episode 2 of your favorite movie podcast. You can get rid of all of your other podcasts because we're definitely going to be doing this every week
plus
for you.
We're clearly good at this. Speaking of which, David, how'd quitting your job go?
That is actually happening this week.
Oh.
Not last week?
No, I chickened out because I was afraid that they might walk me out that same day. So
what does that mean?
Because healthcare is still valid until the end of the month.
Oh.
So if I got fired last week, they would have probably cut it off right away. So if I get fired this week, then I still get it for the rest of the month. So free dental cleaning and
dental plan.
General health care.
You're gonna go to the doctor and get a root canal and all that on the same day, eye exam on the same day.
Hey doc, give me the works.
I want the deluxe
rolling
package.
away and give me a brand new teeth and then charge it to the company. I want the deluxe package. Yes, that's what I want. Or the one that gives you the the extra wax on top.
Like the
car wash. Like a car wash.
The undercarriage wash. Yeah, you want that one.
Yeah, that's the one. The undercarriage. Yeah, gets you nice and fresh. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the plan, and then I don't have anything a backup for it. So
does that mean is that this Saturday, or do you work Saturdays?
I did work last Saturday, and that's the reason why I was like, yeah, I'll wait till next week. And then a bunch of crap hit the fan, and customers are whiny bitches.
Cool.
And I got tired of it. I was like, you know what? I think this is it.
Cool. Just go work at UCI. That's easy. And you get all the benefits. And you have to pay for parking to go to work. That's great.
Yeah. I think we know someone who works there.
Yeah, what a sad
what kind of sad sap would work at UCI?
I know.
I don't know
college.
Who would spend 4 years out of school and then continue to work there?
I know, for a decade.
Should we start the love-hate segment now?
Has it really been a decade, Ben?
It's almost. Wait, holy shit! I have been there for a decade. Well, I mean, not working, but.
So school plus that now equals a decade?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's not as disappointing.
Yeah.
That's still a long time to be at one place.
It's true.
Are you sure you actually worked there and you just haven't been failing the same class for the last 6 years?
I don't know.
I could never pass the physical exam.
Damn it, Taro, just let me pass compilers.
Taro.
I feel like I didn't get that one, but it was so
because
funny.
you didn't go to UC Irvine and you didn't study computer science there.
Yeah,
so
why are you laughing?
That was a mistake.
Yeah, shut up, David.
I probably should have done that.
Yeah, that's what your dad said.
Yeah.
No, my dad said, "Why are you no doctor?" This is too close, guys.
Man, this really is the Dunk on David hour.
Well, you guys already said welcome to the Dunk on David podcast. We're just gonna turn this to a full hour.
Maybe that could be like the subtitle of our podcast.
Dunk on David.
Kajam it. The first one's Dunk on David. The second one's Jam on David.
Slam Jam on David.
Just get more elaborate as we keep it going. So, as nobody who follows the podcast goes, we are missing our fourth member. We have Stu, Ben, and then we are missing Sean, who is our resident hip-hop aficionado.
He's also Green Ranger of the group. That's right.
And then Stu also mentioned last week that he would be the only one who could sign up for Black People Meet.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good bit last week. I don't know if we need to beat it to death.
We do not need to beat the meat to death. All right.
We don't need to beat the Black People Meet to death.
Oh my God.
There was a topic I did want to talk about. So this kind of has to do with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but I guess this will be a question for you guys. So have you guys ever left a movie because you didn't like it so much?
No. I don't think I have.
Like, you've never seen a movie so repulsive or something that's so off-putting to you that you're like, all right, I'm leaving?
I can't recall.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've ever walked out of a theater.
Yeah, maybe once when I was a kid, but this is I don't remember.
Wait, you walked out of a movie when you were a kid?
Yeah, that's why I'm saying, like, it maybe doesn't count because it might have been for another reason.
Wait, what,
Stewie, was it too scary?
Are you kidding me, dude? I was all about scary movies when I was a kid.
Then why would you walk out of a theater?
I'm just telling you, of all the movies I've seen in my lifetime, there's a 1% chance that I might have walked out of one, and I don't remember why.
God, this Rugrats movie is so repulsive. The way they portray Tommy Pickles.
How come Reptar's not more on the screen?
Actually, when we were kids, they didn't have a Rugrats movie.
Yeah, they did.
When I was a kid, they did.
Well, you're also like 10 years younger than us, so.
Oh, yeah. Well, here's my review.
Sweet can.
Anyways, Ben, get on with the story.
Okay,
right.
I heard this story from a friend. So
this did not happen to you?
This didn't happen to me, but I thought it was just so bizarre. Okay, I just wanted to get your guys.
Okay, can you just pretend like it happened to you then?
Okay, fine. So I was invited by my friends to go see a movie, right? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
About an hour in, my friend next to me, the one who invited me, says, "Hey guys, I have to go take a dump." Okay, cool. Thanks for telling us. He leaves.
Right.
We keep watching the movie. Another 30 minutes pass. We get a text, check on it very discreetly, and it says, "Hey, I lied. I went home. Bye."
Wow.
He said, and the reason was he just did not like the movie at all. Now, I understand, like, saying this is kind of going to the edge of my comfort zone, but saying that you didn't like a movie so much that you'd like leave, but then, wait outside for your friends or something, or, go do something else until their movie is done. But this guy completely dipped. This guy just completely.
Like, how much of a friend is this person? Like, is it an acquaintance or?
I know the guy. I met him once. And
well, obviously, because you went to the movie with him in this story, Ben.
Oh yes, I mean, of course.
Was he the driver?
No, they all went there by themselves. So that was the other thing. They all met up, but the guy just left.
Well, like, in the context of that group, are they all, like, if it was like you, me, Ben, and Sean, like, is it that level of, like, Sean dipped in the middle of the movie?
Yeah, imagine that.
Okay, that's really weird.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to get your guys' input on this. I mean, at what point does it just become kind of weird? I mean, I understand.
Instantly weird.
Yeah.
I guess if you really didn't think that it was your cup of tea and you wanted to go home, then I guess you go home.
I mean, still, it's
I've
like
never, yeah, I mean, I've never been so repulsed by a movie where I'd say, "Hey, I'm leaving," and throw my popcorn on the ground
right.
and like flip off
Stamp
the
your little
screen while I'm
feetsies.
walking out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how far in can you still get a refund?
I don't know. I've never actually done that where I said, "Hey, I didn't like the movie. It made me upset. Give me a refund."
Yeah.
Because
maybe because you're not a monster.
What,
like,
you do that?
No. So my experience actually comes from I worked at GameStop with Sean for over a year, and there's a rule that the ESRB, the like rating system for the games and stuff,
Yeah.
if it is mature,
Uh-huh.
and then the parent, even if it's open, they're returning it because they think it's too graphic or it's not suitable for their child, we are obligated to offer a refund even if it's open.
Oh, I did not know that.
So I don't know if that same principle applies to movies, especially if it's like, oh, if you thought that the movie was gonna be a certain way, and then it was more graphic than they were expecting, that they could still go out and go, hey, we didn't watch the full thing, we would like a refund, or we would like tickets to redeem for. I don't know if they give you a refund, they might give you a ticket for something else. And be like, hey, they redeem this for another time or something like that. Because I know for a fact that I had a friend of mine, her mom took her to go see, what was that vampire movie with
Twilight.
No, Megan
Twilight
Fox.
Oh, Jessica's Body or whatever.
Yeah. So she thought
I don't think she was a vampire, but continue.
Or whatever.
Jennifer's Body. Jessica? Whatever. Not important.
Megan Fox's body.
Megan Fox's body. Continue.
Megan Fox's body, and she sold it to her mom as a movie was just like vampires, and I think it was the same time like Twilight came out with the books and stuff like that. She's like, oh, it's like a Twilight, and it's like a high school like vampire, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Boy, was her mom like in a complete shock what happened during the movie. So I don't know if they never told me what happened afterwards, but her mom was not happy about it. So,
I mean, to get back to Ben's story about the person he knows he saw this movie with, I would just not talk to them ever again. Dude, just like we're all hanging out, just see the movie. Like,
yeah.
If you want to talk crap about it, talk crap about it.
How are you gonna talk crap on it if you don't stay for the whole thing?
Yeah, I know.
Also, I mean, it's a long movie, but I don't want to get into that until later. But that is a weird thing. That person is weird, and your friends who saw the movie should feel justified in the feeling weird about them. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Did they ever get an explanation at all, or he was just like, yeah, I didn't like it, I'm gonna go, and they were like, yeah, I guess that's okay.
No. So we did talk about it, and they all kind of agreed. Yeah, this is a little bit weird, but they didn't really know how to handle the situation. I mean, the guy just left. It was.
I mean, I know how you handle it. You just don't invite him to see movies anymore.
Boom. There.
Problem solved.
Yep.
Welcome to the Problem Solve podcast, where we take everyday problems and offer solutions to them.
But there was a weird aside to this. I went to go see a different movie, and this is the closest I've ever been to walking out, and I still didn't. Have you guys heard of a movie called Hardcore Henry?
Yes, that was I remember you told me about this. Yes.
No, what is Hardcore Henry?
It is a action movie shot entirely in first person view.
Oh, because you were feeling sick.
Yeah, I literally, I think maybe 30 minutes into the movie, I felt terrible. I felt like I was going to, vomit right where I was sitting. So I just I was wearing a hat. I took it off. I just stared into it on the floor. And I was like, okay, if I vomit, I'm vomiting in my hat.
It's like a pseudo walkout.
And so I had this lovely experience of watching a movie through just audio.
Well,
and it was great because
I know how blind people feel. So.
Oh, dang!
Welcome to blindpeoplemeet.com.
Wow. Blindblackpeoplemeet.com. Anyways, I guess we'll just get progressively more offensive as the episodes go. Until we're just full on, just clan rally, cross burning like
maybe
episode 65 or something.
So I was thinking about posting these on YouTube because more mediums, right? YouTube and then also on SoundCloud, but they need an image. Are we just gonna go with a hood for for an image?
I think if we do a YouTube video, like we can like put in stills of like whatever the stupid thing is we're talking about.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And to really, sell it and get a lot of views, we just have to get a picture of all three of us with our mouth gaping open, and that will definitely just get all the clicks.
Yeah. Or we just, put in some kind of, some cleavage takes up most of the thumbnail, or a butt shot, maybe some underbutt.
Put a hand.
Yeah, and then when you click the video, that thumbnail never appears. So.
So aside from that, anything else interesting happened to you guys recently?
Not really. I'd say one thing when I did go to the movie this last weekend, it was the first movie I've seen solo since and this is going back a ways, 3:10 to Yuma.
Oh wow.
That's
Christian Bale.
That movie from like 2015?
No, I think it was way longer than that. I think it was like 2011.
It was like early 2000s. Like, but that's the one with Christian Bale, right?
Christian Bale and
2007.
Oh shit, that was a lot,
that's
man.
12 years ago.
Who directed it? It was the guy who did Logan, right?
James Mangold.
James Mangold, that's what it was. Yeah.
Ooh.
But yeah, Christian Bale and what's his name? Gladiator.
Russell Crowe.
Yeah, Gladiator. Yeah. So that was just the only kind of interesting note I had. It's the first movie and also. I was in a row all by myself.
Wow.
There were other people in the theater, but luckily everyone bought tickets for seats not in my row.
Nice.
So, which also made it weird for me a little bit when I was laughing. I felt weird laughing at scenes because I'm like.
You were by yourself?
Yeah, it just.
Because you were thinking it wasn't collective, it was just you awkwardly laughing by yourself, and everybody watching and going, "That wasn't even funny."
Yeah, it felt a little weird, but I got past it, whatever.
Okay.
But yeah, that was the highlight of my week, I would say.
Well, getting a row by yourself is definitely not easy, so I guess that counts. Hey, Ben, what update do you have for us?
Last week I said that I was starting the show called The Boys on Amazon. I just finished it, and for the most part, I enjoyed it.
I'm waiting for the but
it did feel a bit rushed. It felt like it kind of blazed through some plot points, like just really quick. But aside from that, the humor, the way that it was shot, it was very, I guess, cinematic is the proper word for it.
Oh, so it was like almost like a mini movie for every episode.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was, I don't know, it was something like. I guess the production quality really struck me as pretty high, and it just kind of took me out of the moment, it was, or in a good way. It was something that really
drew you in.
Yeah, drew you in.
Okay.
It really demanded your attention.
So if I'm kind of interpreting what you're saying, you wish that it was, instead of 8 episodes, it was like 10 or 12.
Maybe, yeah. I think it could have benefited from that. I mean, there were definitely some points where it just kind of mentioned something important, and then that's it. And now it's established for the rest of the story. But aside from that, yeah, it was really great. I watched it with my girlfriend, Letty, and she while she really enjoyed it, she said that there was just some parts that were a little too graphic, a little too gruesome.
Is that possible?
Too much blood?
Yeah.
Is that even possible?
I guess so. I mean, there were definitely some grotesque parts, but I thought, that is something that I don't really, shy away from, or I don't think there has been a movie where I say, oh man, that is just terrible. And I saw a Serbian film, so.
Oh man.
I did not see that one.
Okay,
either.
well, do yourself a favor and don't do it, David.
Yeah, there's just reading about what happens in that movie is bad enough.
Yeah, I read the Wikipedia after I heard it came out. I was like, oh yeah, not happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, the imagery in the show kind of gets a bit out there. So
Okay, now I'm very interested. I gotta see this now.
No, it's pretty funny. It's a pretty good show. It's produced by Seth Rogen.
Do you
and he
think?
actually, huh?
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, well, he actually has a small cameo in the show, but yeah, I think that it was really well casted. Like everyone fits their part amazingly. But what were you saying?
Do you think it might have felt like it felt rushed because it was kind of like a like Narcos season 1 where they didn't know if there'd be another season, so they had to like kind of blast through all of it in one?
I'm not sure because well, when they premiered it, well, I think a week before they premiered, it was already confirmed for season 2, so I have no idea. But that could have been very well the case where, Seth Rogen decided, hey, let's do this and let's try to fit as much as we can in. So I could see that. I could see that where they didn't give them enough of a budget. But I'm hoping because of the success of season 1 that they would be given a larger budget and maybe given enough time to do what they need to. I mean, so far I've been seeing it being received really well. A lot of people have been talking about it and saying how much they like it. So yeah, if you're a fan of the superhero genre but want a little more bite, something a little darker, I'd highly recommend checking out The Boys. It's on Amazon Prime.
So speaking of things that we saw this week, I actually went back and watched Superbad just to see how I felt about it compared to Booksmart, because I know that we were talking about it last week, and that was one of the comparisons that a lot of people were making. And for a movie when did that movie come out?
Superbad?
Yeah.
2008?
For as old as 2007, same year as 310 to Yuma.
Oh yeah.
This is the 2007 show.
2007 episode. Yeah.
Even for a movie that is 12 years old at this point, it holds up incredibly well. And I actually preferred it over Booksmart, even though Booksmart had a lot more recent. It's more relatable, like right now, based on the social environment that we have now, or the social climate. But I still preferred Superbad. I felt like the characters played off of each other a little bit more. I think it has to do with the fact that there's a third storyline. And even though Booksmart was really good, I still think that Superbad probably still takes the cake between the two of them. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because how old I was at the time when I was watching Superbad the first time, that it probably seemed a little bit more relatable. But I feel that for me, I would definitely still lean toward Superbad versus Booksmart. But I could see a lot of where there was a lot of the inspiration that was taken on some of the aspects. And hey, obviously not to dumb it down or anything like that, or just go down to its base elements, but trying to fix something or try to fix their entire like senior year or their high school just by going to a party, and then kind of seeing all those different things running through it. But it was definitely good to see it on its own, separate from Booksmart, and then getting a chance to see Superbad afterwards, and really appreciating the movie that was at that time.
Okay, just to add to this, I have never seen Superbad, but I did see Booksmart.
What?
I know, right? I know, right?
Ben, get off the pot. Hang up.
Okay, so
well,
new
thanks.
segment we're going to be adding is movies we need to see together, because apparently Keith has never seen
anything.
Yes, so we need to see King Kong Skull Island. That's one, right? And then now we need to add Ben to see Superbad.
Yep.
So, God, why did you laugh at the McLovin reference that he made last week?
Because I know about McLovin. I know about the references.
Because he just wanted to be he just wanted to be included. That's why.
Doesn't everyone want to be loved?
Yeah. But really, I find that so hard to believe, because it was like it was so like big back then.
I know, and I just never watched it. I don't know what happened, but I never watched it. But anyways, your point about the third storyline in Superbad versus just focusing on the girls in Booksmart, I kind of agree with you on that. Like, even though I did enjoy Booksmart, there was definitely some dead air in it. I mean, not that much, but there was some where they try to fit in this small sideline story involving Jessica Williams and man, I don't remember that guy's name, but he was in that Netflix show American Vandal, which was amazing, by the way. I love American Vandal. But yeah, the long-haired comedian kid from American Vandal and her, they had some sort of romance, some weird student-teacher romance, and I don't think it really stuck too well. I think
Student teacher.
yeah, if you remember that.
See, I don't remember that part, and that
Yeah.
it didn't stick out to me at all.
Yeah, so they tried to jam that in, and I mean, it was a very small part of the movie, but it kind of faded in and
Oh,
out.
wait, you're talking about the teacher, Jason Sudeikis?
No, not Jason Sudeikis. That was the principal.
Oh.
The teacher was Jessica Williams. She had a fling with one of the students. That
Oh, you're talking about the one guy who ended up going to Google.
yeah, that would be.
Oh, okay. I don't remember his name.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Eduardo Franco.
wait, is that
Right,
really
he played Theo.
Sure. I honestly don't remember his name or anything. But
Yeah,
yeah.
long-haired dude. Yeah, that's the one.
yeah. So I mean, I get what they were going for, but I didn't really feel like it was terribly funny or anything, or it really contributed to anything. I
Yeah.
don't know. It wasn't offensive or anything. It was just like, oh man, that wasn't really that funny. I don't even know
Yeah.
why it's there.
It was like you could have used that for any other thing. Like I understand like the role of the teacher was like this mentor role where you're going in and trying to kind of coach the girls into kind of opening themselves up into a more like fun lifestyle, I guess, and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So, but at the end of the day, I was just kind of like, wow, that seemed, I don't know, to me it felt really forced.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they wanted to have this kind of taboo-ish, they wanted to touch this taboo topic, and then they wanted to kind of just like make it more tongue-in-cheek, and I was just like, I don't know if it really worked on this, but I mean, it was funny, but I didn't think it was completely necessary, and I think it kind of took away from some of the merits of the movie in general.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
All right, we're going to take a quick little break, and we'll be right back with your box office rundown and this week's movie, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Stay tuned.
So welcome back. We're going to get into our segment. We call it the box office rundown. Number one spot is the brand new Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw movie. Number two is Lion King, down from number one. Number three is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which follows suit from two down to three. Spider-Man Far From Home follows at number four. Then is followed by Toy Story at number five. Yesterday comes in at number six. The Farewell comes in at number seven. That was the movie that Ben was very interested in. He saw last week. Number eight is Crawl. That would be our supernatural, not supernatural.
Disaster movie.
Yeah, disaster crocodile
movie.
alligator movie. Number nine is Aladdin, surprisingly for week number 11 again. And then number 10, surprisingly holding on to the last spot, still in the top 10, Annabelle Comes Home. So
I just had one quick note I wanted to make. I'm not
Sure.
gonna go. I won't go too deep into this. I feel like a complete idiot. I mean, which is most of the time, but because after I listened to last week's episode, I realized I kept saying Spider-Man: Homecoming when I meant to say Far From Home, and then I even got like mad at one of you for trying to correct me. So. Pretty much. So
it's okay. Don't worry. We moved on from David is always wrong podcast to now Stu can be wrong sometimes, but David's still more wrong than anything else podcast.
Stu is wrong about something and gets mad at you when you try to correct him. So.
Even though it was correct.
Even though you were right.
Well, that's okay.
And then berates you for it.
I think looking at this list, I'm not too terribly surprised. For me, in general, I feel like the Fast and Furious movie, $60 million at the top spot, that is that good.
I think what's surprising me is that not only is it have a higher tomato meter than Lion King, but it also has a really high audience score. So
okay, so to me, actually, I'm not really too surprised by how Hobbs and Shaw's performance. I kind of expected it to premiere at number one. There's a lot of hype going into it, of course. You know, it's a Fast and Furious movie.
Okay.
Usually pulls in a lot of viewership. The Rock has been on a very steady stream of taking control. Well, I feel that he has been taking a lot of control over the movies that he's been in, curating it very, very carefully. I mean, looking at all the previews and everything and all the marketing, I mean, you could almost say that it was Dwayne
movie.
The Rock Johnson the movie. Yeah.
Right.
You know, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
come on,
I mean,
we're Samoan. We're
Yeah, I mean, and I don't have a problem with that because
I don't either. I mean, it's just that, you know, it seems like it was made to be like a super well-crafted crowd pleaser, you know, a real good popcorn film.
I guess I just had the sense that I was just worried, I guess, that it wouldn't have done so well. Based on nothing, it's just like a feeling I had, but
okay.
Yeah, I mean, because honestly, I think, and I wish, like, I feel like some of the movies that The Rock has been in kind of get dunked on from time to time, but like honestly, like The Rock for me is like probably one of the coolest people in Hollywood, I would say, because like, you know, I follow him on social media, and he just seems like a super cool dude, like super down to earth, like, and like really hardworking guy. So
Yeah, I think there was some stigma against him, like in his earlier movie, profession. He was, trying to make it in
porn days.
Yeah, his porn days. Yeah. And here comes The Rock.
Dwayne the Cock Johnson.
Ho, 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 ho. I mean, there was that whole period where, he was trying to break into various roles. He had, like, he was in Gridiron Gang. He was in
Rundown.
The Tooth Fairy.
Oh, yeah, that one's...
Yeah, he's just taking odd jobs and just trying to, make a name for himself. But now, I think it's ridiculous how much you have to pay him to be part of a movie. It's like, what was it? There was a story about how much a movie studio would pay just to have The Rock advertise on his Instagram. There was this, they did some looking around, see how much pull they get. I mean, that in itself is a good investment because of how many followers he has. So if he's plugged in for something, I mean, you're going to get a good return on it.
Yeah, he's definitely holds his weight, because if you look at the last 5 movies that have been released, right? When did he join the Fast and Furious? Was that 5?
I think so.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
4 or 5, yeah.
If it was 5, so 5, the first weekend was 86 million. Fast and Furious 6 first weekend was 97 million. Obviously, the biggest one is Furious 7, which was 147 million first weekend. Fate of the Furious, which is the one right before this one, that's the one where everybody could feel the tension between Vin Diesel and Dwayne Johnson. That one came in at 98 million. And then Hobbs and Shaw opened at 60 million. I mean, just The Rock, Dwayne by himself covers about 60% of that, and that's an incredible amount of pull compared to, the Fast and Furious movies. You have so much more star power, like, combined, that it's just like, wow, by himself, that they didn't, like you were saying before, right? He has so much pull that they didn't want to lose him, even though he had so much, like, negative chemistry with the rest of the cast.
Yeah.
Yeah, that they were like, all right, we don't want to lose you. We're going to keep you in the series, but you're going to get your own movie. But isn't Idris Elba also in this movie?
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean,
Black Superman.
Yeah, so for me, I'm a huge fan of his, so I definitely want to see him in that. I haven't had a chance to see it, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, maybe, because I don't know if there's many more movies out this week. I'll go see that maybe, we'll see.
Okay. So, maybe I guess the headline is just Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw, don't sleep on it. Obviously, number 3 is the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. We'll be talking about it a little bit later. Spider-Man Far From Home. Stu, have you still not seen it yet?
I still have. I was actually trying to. I wanted to try to do a double feature when I went to go see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but then I saw that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was 2 hours and 50 minutes, basically, and then I was like, oh man, that's a lot of movie watching. So I have not seen it yet. Almost.
Yeah.
If it's out this weekend, I might try to do a double feature if I see Hobbs and Shaw.
Okay. Well, I definitely tried to watch a second movie, but after watching Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna have to watch The Farewell another day. So let's see. Running down a little bit further, obviously yesterday moved up slightly. That was actually kind of interesting. Toy Story stays pretty much where we thought it would be. We'd already talked about Crawl and Aladdin. Obviously that goes to the same breath as The Lion King, which we discussed last week. Let's see what we got. Annabelle Comes Home. Obviously, we dived pretty in depth for there. The Farewell. That one was something that, Ben, you said that you were kind of surprised that it jumped, I think 3 spots from last week.
It did, and well, I think it's attributed to the fact that there was an increase in the number of theaters by 274 theaters, so that's a good pull. But, well, the average did go down, but that could go because of the number of theaters and the number of screenings probably. So still, it made a good amount, and it's in its 4th week, and it's moving up. That's actually pretty rare to see.
Yeah. So we definitely. Oh, go ahead.
Where was it last week?
I think
it was at number 10.
Oh wow. Okay. So.
Yeah. So that's that's a really good sign that a lot of people that are watching movies are being more selective and not just picking whatever's at the top, just continue to keep doing that. And there is support for more artisan type films, and I can definitely see that because on AMC they're even advertising it as like an artisan film. So I thought that was really interesting. Same thing with like was that Peanut Butter Falcon?
Yeah,
or something that's coming out. So I think AMC is doing a really good job to be able to prop up films that probably don't have the marketing budgets to be able to go after stuff the same way that like Hobbs and Shaw does, or obviously The Mouse and stuff like that. So, but I think that wraps up our box office rundown. We'll be right back after these messages
from Blue Apron. Let me tell you guys, I didn't know how to cook till I got Blue Apron. Blue Apron is a food service that sends food to your door with easy instructions on how to cook delicious meals like carrot and quinoa ginger salad and carne asada with
balsamic sauce.
Balsamic plantains. They're real delicious stuff. So come on down to Blue Apron.
What is this? Are you a car dealership?
Come on down to Blue Apron.
Dude, we're never gonna get good sponsorships if you keep
Memorial Day sale. Blue Apron. Bring the kids.
No, Labor Day is coming up. Memorial Day is already passed.
This is for next year.
Oh God. All right. Welcome back to the Dose and a Half Cinos podcast, and we're going to go into this week's movie, which is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But joining us actually is one of our featured podcasters. It would be Sean Villegas. Thanks for coming on board.
Hi, Sean.
Hey, thanks, guys. Just had to, carry the load, right?
Yeah, no, we've been struggling without you here. I mean,
he carries the load.
Carry the load, right? Is that what I do?
Yeah, we're gonna get on your back right now, and you're just gonna carry us the rest of the way.
Okay, so we're gonna pretty much just get out of Sean's way and just kind of let him talk for the next.
I'm gonna kind of tune out.
Go get a drink or something.
Yeah.
So we did general introductions last week. We learned a little bit about Stu, learned a little bit about Ben, obviously myself,
and a little about ourselves in the process.
That also at the same time. Mm-hmm. So just so our listeners know, Sean, tell us a little bit about you in general, and then also like kind of your movie background, and what do you bring to Dose and a Half Cinos?
Well, what was that? 10 years ago, we were all in colleges and stuff like that, so it was kind of hard to get everyone together to watch movies. So I would always go and watch movies on my own, actually. Usually on release days, sometimes on.
Don't you still do that though?
Hey, you guys do it too now, right? Come on.
I've done it once.
I started the trend.
we actually were covering we actually just covered this a few minutes ago.
Yeah. Love watching movies. I like to keep up with current releases, and then
So you say you're more like because from what I can tell is like it pretty much any movie it doesn't matter what it is, it seems like you're like their release day,
dude, like
almost like
it's pretty much, and I think the initial trailer of the movie has a big impact as far as like if I'm gonna like it or if I want to watch it or not. If I like the trailer, there's a pretty good chance I'm gonna watch it, whether it's the type of genre I usually watch or not. So that makes sense.
Yeah. So if it's like, for example, if we did a quick rundown, like we just discussed the top 10 just a few moments ago, a few meowments ago, if you will, like of those 10, like I don't know if you have the IMDb page pulled up, or sorry, Rotten Tomatoes page pulled up. So there's like Hobbs and Shaw, Lion King, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Obviously, you've seen Spider-Man, Toy Story 4. Like, would you of those like that list of movies, would you say how many of them would you say you've already seen?
Out of the ones that you've listed, all of them.
How about Yesterday, The Farewell, Crawl, Aladdin, and Annabelle?
I didn't see those releases.
Interesting.
Okay.
Only
Top five. Top 5 only for Sean.
At least.
At least.
I mean, Hobbs and Shaw, I don't think was top. Wait, was it top? Are top 5 is for like money? Making
talking, or I think it is money. Yeah.
Yeah.
Box
office.
office.
I see that. Okay, I just saw the list. Yeah, yeah, you can say top 5, at least.
Top 5 for sure. Then I'm assuming you saw Aladdin.
I didn't actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm kind of waiting.
I'm the only one who saw Aladdin.
I guess so.
Ooh. Okay.
But I think usually I'd say we can count on Sean for like the big ones that come out. Definitely to be there on day one.
Yes, yeah.
Right. Day one, ride or die.
Ride or die.
Yeah, Sean's our boots on the ground guy. Like like Sean, tell us what's going on there at the Edwards and West Covina. Yeah.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Yeah.
And he's also our resident Cruella expert.
Yeah, Cruella, all things EDM and hip hop.
That sounds about right.
He's a resident expert, and also P90X.
Yeah,
and
So if there's
Bang
ever
also.
Bang.
Bang.
If there's ever a movie about EDM, then we were just gonna let Sean talk about it the entire time.
Movie podcast.
So, but yeah, no, thanks for joining us, Sean, on the podcast. This is definitely this is the core group. This is the day one guys. Obviously, Sean wasn't available for the first episode, but I think we'll be okay. So let's talk about the movie for this week. That is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Shut up, everyone. Shut up, Ben. Shut up.
Wait, so I have to shut up too?
No, everyone else shut up. I'm telling them to shut up so you can talk.
Oh, you said Ben, shut up.
No, shut up.
So now I'm shutting up. I'm doing what you said. I'm doing. Okay, fine. God. Okay. Movie synopsis. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh my God, are you reading this?
Tarantino's view of Hollywood in the 1969 in Los Angeles. It most famously has to do with Sharon Tate and Charles Manson during that time. But we are also following around the fictional character of Rick Dalton and his trusty sidekick / stuntman Cliff Booth. As time goes on, we get closer and closer to this inevitable and horrible ending that is the Charles Manson murders.
So I'm obviously not the brightest lamp in the tool shed. I did not realize until Ben just said this just now that this was in relation. Everything's falling into place right now. That this was in relation to Charlie Manson. I'm Charlie Manson. But I guess that makes sense because one of the things I was actually wondering. Well, I mean, we can get into this later, but so for me, and this guy, I kind of want to tie this back into what we were talking about at the beginning with Ben about his friend, because in my opinion, I thought this movie was great. I loved it, despite it being almost 3 hours. I thought my bladder was going to burst halfway through the movie, but I was not about to get up and walk and go to the bathroom.
And then miss something crucial.
Yeah.
Dude, I actually did miss a part.
Oh, no.
Oh man. Okay.
We'll get into it. We'll get into it in the spoiler
Okay.
section, but
Yeah.
but yeah,
But
I wanted to kind of tie it back into what Ben was talking about earlier, where his friend walked out an hour into it. I don't know
half an hour.
Half hour or an hour?
Half an hour.
Okay, that's even worse. I don't know what happened in the first half hour that could cause that to happen.
I don't know. I think it was pretty close to the Bruce Lee area.
But still, but like even then, it's Bruce Lee. Why would you walk out?
We'll cover that later. I actually have something I want to talk about for that scene.
But just in general, Stu, you loved it.
Yeah, I would. Movie a lot. I would rate it as far as Tarantino movies go. It's up there for me, probably right behind Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs.
Oh wow.
Wow.
So
that's
as for Tarantino's quote unquote last movie, then if it's gonna get up to the echelons like that, then I guess then he did he did what he needed to. If we're gonna be putting it up with those guys.
At least for this viewer.
Okay. Ben, general review, thoughts, feelings.
I really, really liked it. I'm with Stu on this one. I didn't really have too many complaints. However, watching it with some people, I did hear some complaints about it. I can see what the issues were. I mean, for a Tarantino film, this was oddly
long.
No, not long. This is about the same runtime as any other Tarantino, or well, around there. It was oddly upbeat. That's it. Yeah, it was oddly upbeat.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it, it was I don't know. I mean, you expect all this mishap and all this tragedy to befall the characters, but it somehow had a very positive outlook at the end, or well, throughout the whole movie. So
interesting.
Not to give too much away, but yeah.
Yeah, I guess it also does kind of tie in without really telling. It ties into kind of a darker story that doesn't get told,
So that was the other thing about it. I could see why a lot of people would not like this. So when I went with my girlfriend, she mentioned that she was a little bit lost, and she noted that a lot of it seemed like rambling to her, and she wasn't really too invested in what was going on because she didn't know what was so important about all the characters or what was going on. So I would say that this movie does almost require a little knowledge about how Hollywood works, and as well as the historical significance of Sharon Tate, particularly. Without it, I don't think you're going to get as much enjoyment out of it. Although, Stu, it seems like you did.
I did enjoy it, and I think now that that the fact that
historical value.
Yeah, that ties into that. It makes it even better. So, a simple-minded person like me still enjoyed it regardless.
Yeah.
But I can definitely see how knowing the context would enhance your enjoyment.
Yeah. So I really want to dig into that later. But overall, I really loved the film. It was. Brad Pitt, Leonardo DiCaprio, they were both, oh my god, like
they killed it, dude.
Very dynamic.
Yeah, they killed every scene they're in. I was just like, yeah, give me more.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah,
keep saying random
there's
shit.
some scenes I definitely want to talk about when we get towards the spoiler section. So.
Yeah, definitely. And even Margot Robbie as Sharon Tate, that was fascinating. So it was. I mean, she didn't really have. Oh my god. Let me tell you about the feet.
Probably spend the entire podcast talking about Margot Robbie
and her feet and everyone else's feet.
So do you have a rating or anything for that?
Yeah,
I would say that this is pretty up there. I would give it probably 8 out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah. I would. Let's hear. I want to hear from our newest member.
Sean, what do you think of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Okay. I did like the movie, but as far as tier list for like the Tarantino movies, I'd probably put it in the bottom half, and that's probably because I didn't know a thing or not very much about Manson family and Sharon Tate, so that probably didn't help. I think that the thing that really like makes it for me is definitely like Brad Pitt, Leonardo DiCaprio. Like, I think Brad Pitt's gonna be nominated for supporting actor. Just he carried the movie for me. Leo was awesome also. But yeah, like I didn't really understand at first like the purpose of Margot Robbie's character. I was like, she's just like smiling and dancing the whole time. She doesn't have much dialogue,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like,
Yeah.
what? So I got pretty lost like at times,
Yeah.
and I noticed that this is definitely like probably one of the more like dialogue heavy Tarantino movies, which I'm okay with. But there were parts where like I think it kind of dragged. But it definitely picked up like the last 45 minutes of the movie, especially like the way that I like the way it ended. It
Right.
makes sense, especially
Yeah.
when you compare it to
This is-
like the Inglorious Bastards. I like
Yeah.
the way that ended, even though it wasn't accurate to like the actual history.
Yeah. That was like a classic Tarantino type ending.
Exactly. Yeah, it was awesome. But I did like the movie. As far as a rating would go, I'd probably give it like a 7 out of 10.
Okay. So I'm probably in the same camp that was with Sean. I after listening to some of the names that came up during the movie, that's when it kind of caught my attention. I was like, oh, this is related to something. So I had to actually go back, and after the movie was over, I was, sat in my car and was like reading over some of the things that were related to the Manson family and to kind of like the way things were done around that era. And then a lot of stuff started clicking for me. So I wish I had known that beforehand, before watching the movie, because I think I would have enjoyed it a lot more. But without having that background, without knowledge, I probably would have to give it like a 7 out of 10, because I felt a little bit lost based on a lot of the dialogue was referencing certain people from that era or from that time in that historical context, and I felt like that kind of went over my head. And one of my coworkers I was speaking to about the movie mentioned something very much like that. And he goes, "This movie is a movie for film buffs, people who know about how the way films were shot back then." I mean, I won't take anything away from the actual shots that were taken or any of the acting that was done, because DiCaprio and Pitt both definitely stole the show for the entire thing. But of course, they're also the leading characters, and but just a lot of the cinematography was really well done, and I think it was very reminiscent of the way spaghetti westerns were shot, but obviously updated using modern technology, using drones to be able to get that same panoramic shot that they're getting for some of those scenes and stuff like that, and those were really, really cool to see. But without the background from before, I definitely felt like it dragged a little bit. But now knowing what I know, I think if I went back to go see it again, I think I would have a little bit better historical context, and I think it would be a little bit more engaging.
I think for me, because I'm kind of on the same in the same boat when you mentioned the parts about it dragging, but it didn't feel to me. It was like the parts I noticed it was dragging, but it didn't feel to me like other movies I've seen where it's like, oh, this is dragging. Because I think I was just so taken with like wanting to get back to like the Brad Pitt scene or the Leo scene, or like story arc that they were going through. So for me, even the dragging parts were enjoyable. But I mean, I did notice them as well.
So if you guys have any, I don't know, suggestions or any tips for anybody that's planning on seeing this movie, what would you say? Like, how would you prompt them? Would you tell them, hey, would you go ahead and read a little bit about what happened with the Manson family and kind of who Sharon Tate is,
Yeah, for sure.
that way you get a little bit of more historical context. Obviously, you're not going to find Leo's character or Brad Pitt's character. I would stay away from any of the spoilers or anything like that, which would be stuff that's coming up later in our podcast.
Probably just like one thing I'm doing right now is I just pulled up Sharon Tate on Wikipedia, and that just opened up all kinds of it just revealed a bunch of wormholes. Rifts in time, space time are opening up right now. But yeah, it's definitely like revealing a lot of information that probably would have been good knowing going into the movie.
Yeah, I think it did definitely added the layer or element of the movie going experience that was quite enjoyable if you didn't already know what was going to happen.
Right.
So I think knowing that information going in definitely transforms the experience into something.
Absolutely. Yeah, because I mean it's Tarantino. You can't really expect that, even if it were to follow like to the T a historical context, he's gonna put his own spin on it.
Yeah.
I think even for me at least, even without being completely clueless to the historical context, of this movie, it was still like, I think that just speaks to how much I liked it.
Yeah.
To just not even be aware of that and still enjoy pretty much every minute of it.
Yeah, I mean, Brad Pitt was just so goddamn charming the whole movie. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
There's some.
God.
Yeah, we'll get into it. But
Yeah.
there's some stuff I really want to talk about. So.
Yeah.
So I think if I can sum up, the way the four of us feel is pretty close. We got a 8 out of Ben. We got a.
I don't think I gave mine.
You gave it a what?
Let's see. On a scale of stubbing my toe on a coffee table to dunking on David Chen, I give this movie a blasting Nazis with a flamethrower.
Ooh, that's
okay.
pretty
Somebody
good.
ordered fried sauerkraut.
Yeah, but to give it an actual number, I'll give it a 9.
Right. I was really hoping you were just
All right,
going
nice.
to
it's like
keep it there.
top 3.
All right.
Actually,
Well,
I'll say 9 too. I mean,
Oh.
Oh,
Well, I'm gonna
okay.
go
Actually, no, I'm gonna say it's a 10 then.
Oh, okay. Well,
Okay.
Whoa.
Well, here's the thing. He
No,
put it
I'll
up there, but 10 would be pretty close based
stay
on
at
where
9.
you place it right. Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction.
Yeah,
Wow.
Those were 2 movies that were 9.5, 10 easily.
yeah. For me,
So-
because I haven't seen all of the Tarantino movies. Like I haven't seen was it Jackie Brown or
Jackie Brown. Yeah.
But
Okay.
of the ones I've seen,
That's-
this is including the Kill Bills. For me it rates above the Kill Bills.
What? Wow.
Well, I know some guys who want to see Kill Bill 3, but we'll dive down that rabbit hole a little bit later. Any other final thoughts before we proceed to the spoiler zone?
Yeah, the spoiler zone. I don't know. I think
Anybody else? That's it? Okay. All right.
Anyone?
Well,
Anyone?
you guys have. That's it? All right. Or
John, Ben,
say anything before
David?
forever hold
It's-
your peace. Well, I'm still talking.
Go time to spoil. Do it.
All right. Well, you guys have been forewarned. We are moving into the spoiler zone at this point, which means that we will be unpacking the entire movie, talking about whatever we feel was very special to us, and really getting into it and putting our feedback on and talking about all that stuff. So you've been warned. You are now moving to the spoiler zone, and we'll be doing a deep dive in the movie. So we'll go ahead and get into it now. So I feel like, Ben, you really wanted to talk about something, so we'll go ahead and we'll start with you.
well, I mean, I have a lot of stuff to unpack here, but one of the things I want to
Wait. Can
talk
we
about-
start, Ben? Can you start with the thing? Is this going to be in relation to the person
The bathroom.
walking
Sharon
out?
Tate? Sharon Tate?
Your friend walking out. You said.
I guess we can kind of talk about
Can we,
that.
can we
I
start
mean,
there?
with
Because
that.
I'm really curious.
Okay, so I mean, I believe he walked out at the part, or shortly after part with Bruce Lee, I want to say.
Like the first Bruce Lee scene.
There was only one Bruce Lee scene.
No, there's 2. There was one shortly after that, and
I
it was
feel like I
Right.
saw him a couple
Where
times.
he was training. Sharon Tate,
It was
right?
the
Which actually
was it the-
happened in real life. Apparently.
Yeah.
Was it the Bruce Lee Brad Pitt scene?
Yeah.
Oh, and then also he was training Brandon also, right? Did they show Brandon?
I think they did.
Did they?
I could have sworn I saw like a young Brandon Lee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think I remember that too. But anyways,
Yeah,
so-
but it was in more relation to the Bruce Lee Brad Pitt fight.
was he so offended that they depicted Bruce Lee being beaten up by someone who doesn't know martial arts?
I suppose so. I mean, I know that it has
We're-
definitely been a hot topic.
Oh yeah,
this-
Bruce Lee's daughter was mad that he was being
Yes.
depicted improperly.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Bruce Lee, but I didn't get any sense. I thought it was like a funny scene.
Not
Yeah.
triggered? Not
I was
triggered
not,
at all?
I was not triggered. I was anti-triggered actually.
Anti-trigger.
Yeah.
Anti-trigger. Wow.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are saying that, he was depicted poorly and it was not giving a good representation, but I honestly am not seeing the argument here.
Those
for me.
people who say that don't understand that all the Tarantino movies that I was talking to a coworker of mine, he was the one who gave me the background, that Tarantino apparently takes a lot of movies that have a historical context and then follows them to a certain point and then decides that then has his universe has the parallel to the way real actual reality happened, but in like a parallel universe that's Tarantino based, right? So, the way Inglourious Basterds ended, that's not the way Hitler was killed, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with the Manson murders. Like, obviously, the Manson murders, like, they actually killed Sharon Tate. They didn't, stumble upon, so and so's like room, and then they got their asses kicked by a dog and a stunt double. So, I understand that people want to preserve and stuff like that, and I feel like this like social justice warrior crap is still like it's prevailing all over the place. But I feel like this is an artist's interpretation of the way history should have played out, possibly, and I think that some people take it too far.
Was going back to Ben's thing about this, was that the actual part they were offended by, or that made them walk out?
I honestly don't know. I didn't get a clear answer about that. I just know that he did talk about that.
Was anything more? Was there like something like gruesome that happened before that? I don't remember anything like.
There wasn't really
the whole movie was pretty vanilla up to that point.
Yeah, I think he literally was just bored and he just left. And that might have been just like the tip
icing on the cake.
Yeah, I guess so. But I mean, honestly, I didn't really
see much of it.
I didn't get really offended by it. I mean,
if you're seeing a Tarantino movie, there's gonna be something that offends someone. Like that.
Yeah.
So.
Isn't that like a guarantee? Isn't that like one of the things he writes in there is like, I'm gonna piss you off at some point.
Yeah, so it's up to the viewer to like know that's coming and like not get all bent out of shape about it.
It's like going to see a Guillermo del Toro movie and then being like, why does it have like this mythical kind of background to all of this stuff? I'm like, dude, shut up.
If The Lion King had just like a 4-minute sex scene between whoever, like, okay, I could understand people being offended because that's not what was supposed to be shown or happen.
Wait, it doesn't happen in the movie?
Well, not in the Western version. In the Japanese version, however.
Oh, I think that's the one I watched.
Oh, it is based on the Japanese version. Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, we'll get into we can dive into that later, but
just like Simba dove into
Nala.
Yeah, that's her name.
Yeah, it took me a few minutes to remember her name.
Nala.
Yeah, Nala. Anyways, but yeah, so that's weird. What I don't know if you guys know. I made a point not to try to look at this part up, but like I've heard some people were offended or they were critical of this movie for whatever reasons. Do you guys know?
Yeah, like I follow.
I want to hear from Sean. Shut up, Ben.
Yeah. Dang. I know. Like I follow like Bruce Lee's like social media accounts, which are handled by like his daughter, and posts that she recently made. They were pretty. I wouldn't say like offended. They were just disappointed in the way that he was portrayed, and I definitely see that, but. I thought it was Bruce Lee's like my hero, and I actually wasn't offended. I liked it because I like the scene particularly because I think it's supposed to show how much of a beast Cliff Booth is. Basically, I didn't even see it as like Bruce Lee lost. It's more of like they ended at like a standstill.
Yeah. I wanna touch on that too because for me it wasn't so much about Bruce Lee getting beaten by Cliff. It was more like. Almost, if anything, it was like kind of like humanizing Bruce Lee a little bit because everyone always pictures Bruce Lee as being like this unstoppable, unbeatable force. And then you have this depiction where it's actually maybe not the case. And it wasn't so much that he was beaten, but it's, like you said, they kind of ended in a stalemate. So.
Or that it took him throwing him against a car to be able to put
him
on even ground.
Go ahead,
I wouldn't even say that that scene was. I don't think that's the purpose of that scene. Well, to me, anyways. I thought that the purpose of that scene was to kind of depict Cliff Booth as this like wild card. He was, really hard to get along with in a work capacity. By that time you already get the story about how there's rumors going around that he killed his wife and everything. Kurt Russell's character is already really hesitant to work with him, and right when he gets on set, what does he do? He takes on the legend Bruce Lee in a fist fight. He's a little wild, he's a little out there. The whole movie kind of builds up on that. There's that that shot of them always driving down that hill coming down from Rick Dalton's house, right?
Yeah, he's a little wild.
Oh, and he always drives into oncoming traffic, technically.
Yeah, I mean, he's weaving in and out of traffic like that. So the whole film pins him as this real wild card, right? And so him going against Bruce Lee, the immortal Adonis Bruce Lee. Yeah, I would say that it was just showing how reckless he was, especially on a work set, and he gets kicked out because of that.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
I
think
he works really hard to try to get him on the set.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that for me, like that whole everything about him, like you mentioned, him driving recklessly, all that stuff, to me fit like his character so well because I mean he's a stunt man, so you would kind of expect maybe someone who's a stunt man to kind of live dangerously, like their job is to do dangerous things, so they probably, doing dangerous stuff on a daily basis does not mean anything to them. So
yeah. And I do want to say that there was an interesting kind of parallel in this movie of how Rick Dalton is going out pretending to be a cowboy this whole movie, right? Whereas this movie was actually a Western, and that, Brad Pitt's character, Cliff Booth, he was actually, in a Western. He helps out this girl travel, goes to this wild, lawless town.
Right.
And he confronts the locals, tries to save someone, and he actually, gets into a fight with them, and he ends up fighting a cowboy. So
that's actually, I did not even notice that until you said it. So that is the
damsel in distress. The only thing that was missing is one of the girls being tied to a train track.
Or someone being sent to the gallows or something.
No, it was pretty funny because at the end it kind of reminded me of one of those wild saloon fights, everything's going crazy and wrong, and he's just wrecking house, and then they even had I guess this kind of falls into the whole spaghetti western thing, but the Italian woman,
right.
Screaming in the corner.
Screaming, and then she gets a cheap shot in, and then she does a cartoonish jump and runs away, so it all kind of ties into that. This is like a twisted spaghetti, or a twisted western, a western in Hollywood, in 1970s Hollywood.
Yep. That's
there was a lot of parallels that were in there. Like, for example, a friend of mine, he referenced the fact that the movies that the director of the movies that he ends up going to, Rick Dalton does in Italy for those spaghetti westerns. The name of the director was Antonio Margheriti.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
that was the name that they used as a Italian filmmaker in Inglourious Bastards.
Right.
Oh right, I thought that sounded familiar when I was. It rung a bell.
The Bear Juice character, right?
Mm-hmm.
He used that name. That's right.
Yeah. So there's a lot of it tells you Tarantino, all of his movies tie in somehow.
Yeah. And obviously there's the Red Apple cigarettes.
Red Apple cigarettes.
Oh yeah, that was very obvious. Running through.
I can pick out the obvious stuff.
Oh no, I barely.
I'm
picked
good at
that one out. I waited until the very end, and I was like, why did they mention? Oh, I get it. I waited until the post-credit scene.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, these are awful. These
We
are the
took
worst.
this picture.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I was, I felt like there was something that I was missing, and then so that's why I had to look up. I was like, why does that name text sound so familiar? And then it seems so odd to me that they changed their mind so quickly at the very end. When they were driving up, and I was like, wait, why are they trying to? I remember they were like, oh yeah, we're supposed to kill everybody in the Tate house. I'm like, why? And then I was like, trying to figure it out, right? And then they go into the other house after they back out after Rick Dalton hits on the hood, and they back out, and then they decide that they're gonna go kill him. And it's like, yeah, let's go kill the people who taught us how to kill or whatever, right? And yeah, but I was like, man, why is this? All these names sound so familiar, right? And then I went back and I was reading it afterwards. I was like, oh, I totally get it now, because Manson wanted to sign he wanted to sign a recording recording contract with the previous guy who was living there before Sharon Tate moved in, and then that's the reason why they wanted to go kill them and stuff like that. And obviously there's the whole history about that and stuff like that. But one of my favorite things was apparently there was a leak before the movie came out. I think it was like during the same week that it premiered at the film festival, that they were talking about. Somebody was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe Bruce Lee comes in and saves the day at the end of it." And then, but everybody who had already seen the movie, they were under embargo, so they couldn't say that that was not the way it ended. So there was at least, I think, a good like a week and a half maybe, where everybody thought that they were like, they put on Wikipedia that was the ending to the movie.
Yeah, like they team up, right? And they
Yeah,
take
that
the massive.
Bruce Lee comes in and saves Sharon Tate
if
from.
there's an alternate ending in the the Blu-ray or whatever where that happens, that'll just be.
I think he's probably going to shoot it at this point, right?
Or maybe they already did.
That would be awesome. Yeah, what if maybe that's the ending that person saw in that screening. But that would be amazing.
Kind of go off of the whole that historical accuracy, of those three people that were supposed to go to the Tate household. Like I said, going into this, having the knowledge about what happened to Sharon Tate and the Manson family in general, I think it really builds the movie in a different way than you would have seen it without that knowledge. Going into it with that, there's like this sense of dread going. You see all these scenes with Sharon Tate, and you feel somewhat, sad knowing the final outcome of what's going to happen. She's happy, she's living her life, she's just doing all these simple things like buying a book, going to see her own movie, and she, there's nothing bad about her. She's just living her life. And then when we get to the third act, we start seeing, the narrator really draw emphasis to the time and the day. And it was, I believe, August 8th or something, the day that the murder happened. And right when it gets on screen, you get this sinking feeling in your gut thinking, oh my God, I guess we are going to see what happens, right? And it gets closer and closer and closer. And they even get to the part where Sharon Tate and all of the people in the household were, I think they were playing the piano or something. Was that it? Yeah. There, during the murders, or after the murders, one of the things that was observed during the crime scene was that they had the sheet music for the mamas and the papas on the piano. So that was another piece of evidence that kind of stuck out.
Oh, so almost like a red herring, that he wanted you to think that it was going to be an exact like replica of what exactly happened. And that it's like, oh, here's all the evidence. Like we're setting the scene that they're going to get destroyed. And you're going to watch it in Tarantino fashion where they have to like black out the entire scene because there's going to be so much blood all over the place. People are going to get tied up, and then they're going to,
Although,
and then.
I don't think they would have blacked out. I think he would have shown it.
Yeah. And, there are other things lying around, like that cowboy Tex, he was, one of the perpetrators.
An actual person, yep.
Yeah, when they mentioned his name and all that, it was just like leading up to this. This finale that you probably don't want to watch, and then of course it makes
the best turn.
Oh my! It was so good.
Yeah,
he comes out with the margarita.
Yeah. I gotta say, the more that you were discussing like the historical context of this, the more I'm feeling like a total idiot not having, because I feel like had I known that, I would have had a completely different experience, like you said.
Yeah.
But to me, I was just totally clueless about what was going on. I thought it was just some stupid hippies that were mad at whoever. I don't know. So, but yeah, it all makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah, all the hippies, even the names of all the hippies in the ranch, like when Cliff went to go visit the set, like what was his name?
All real.
Squeaky. Yeah, Squeaky. The owner of the ranch, George Ston, is that his name? George, something like that.
George something.
Yeah, that was all real. Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
He was old. I mean, they were fucking him in exchange for allowing all the hippies to live there free of charge.
Wow.
Yeah, so a lot of historical accuracy to it, and it all built up to that great finale. I really liked how they did that.
Yeah. But yeah, before I don't want to dive into that finale part yet.
Yeah.
But so Sean, what was your favorite part?
I really liked the part where, like, when they show the ranch for the first time, and like, dude, like it was like super awkward, and you can tell like something was gonna go down. Like the whole build, like I felt it. Even though like Cliff is supposed to be like this crazy stunt man, doesn't fear anything. Like I was still like fearing for like, dude, something was gonna happen.
Yeah.
Like, that part for sure. And then of course like the finale, but
David, what about you? What was any scenes that you enjoyed particularly?
Don't cry in front of the Mexicans.
The Bruce Lee scene was really good. I really like the fact that that he threw Bruce Lee into a car.
Oh my! Crushed a car like Street Fighter style.
Yeah. Oh man.
That was hilarious. Yeah.
That was really good. I really wish Bruce Lee was in more of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been really nice.
Maybe we'll get that special ending in the director's cut.
Oh, that would be so awesome if that was the ending, where he comes out of nowhere and starts kicking everybody's ass. That'd be awesome. I definitely really liked a lot of the scenes where it came to the ranch, and when Cliff goes into the because I thought that it was going to end up in a misery situation where he was going to get like locked up.
Yeah.
Like he was gonna turn the corner and the guy was dead in the bed or something like that, and then he was going to turn around and she was going to whack him with a pan or something like that. I really thought that's what was going to happen, because
it was
up until that point there still wasn't that Tarantino like stamp or that trademark that you had seen. Like you could tell like he's using a lot of different cinematic cuts and adding a lot of different like scenes and stuff like that to be able to kind of frame it. But the way the anticipation, the build up to that point, I thought that we were going to see a huge fight. We were going to see a ton of blood all over the place. That's what I was expecting.
Yeah, that I kind of was thinking about it and drawing comparison to something we talked about last week, which was Midsommar, where when I remember when I was watching that scene, I was like, this is what Midsommar like could have been trying to do, where it was building up the entire time. As soon as Cliff got to the ranch, it was just this sense of unease it starts to build up and build up, and then right when you think something bad's about to happen, it kind of like nothing happens, and then but I feel like it did it in a good way, like as opposed to just like how Midsommar did it.
Yeah, it was I guess there was a climax, that build up, it was building the sense of uneasiness, like you said, going through. I mean, there were a lot of disturbing images when they entered the house, that mouse that was or that rat that was stuck on the floor, all it was disgusting in there. And then they threw another curveball when you find out, oh, he's fine, and everything that Squeaky told him was like completely true.
Right.
It was kind of funny. It was like it's kind of like that nervous laughter kind of thing. It's just I can't believe.
Why were you lying about this from the very beginning? Why just say that he was fine? Just let me in. Why are you making a big deal out of this?
I mean, for me, sweaty hippies is disgusting enough imagery.
I saw enough armpit hair, I think, for one movie.
I didn't see enough feet, though. I did not see enough
feet. So much feet. Oh my gosh. all the feet.
More feet, please.
I don't know. I was actually kind of disappointed at how little feet there was in a Tarantino movie.
But yeah, I think one of my favorite scenes, and I know it seems like we've been focusing very heavily on the Cliff arc, and so, but I wanted to discuss one of my favorite scenes, which for me was like I'm not like Oscar. I don't submit any recommendations for Oscars or anything, but the scene in particular where Leonardo DiCaprio he had just found out he was he's playing the heavy, he's playing the bad guy, and so he's trying to shoot that one scene with Timothy Olyphant.
That scene, yes, that's right.
Yeah, and so he's in there, and so they're kind of like showing you the movie as they're filming it, which I thought was really cool too.
Yeah.
And then he's doing it, and then he starts to fuck up his lines.
Yeah, he breaks character.
and the way that he not only did he have to act in that scene as that actor, he had to then break the scene in it's like so many levels, like meta acting, where then he's starting to panic because he forgot he fucked his lines up, and now you can really see him losing his cool, but then he gets it back, and then the scene afterwards where he's in the trailer just losing his shit. I thought that whole sequence was one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah. I really enjoyed that scene. I mean, I read somewhere that actually Leo in the trailer freaking out and beating himself up about messing up those lines was actually just him improvising. Yeah, which is a very very rare in a Tarantino film. But yeah, Tarantino just told him to go crazy with it, and he improvised that whole scene about the
I'm gonna blow your brains out if you don't get this lines right.
And I think my favorite part of that whole freak out was that's it, I'm never drinking again, and then he's taking a
but yeah, that was for me. That was one of my probably, if not other than probably the ending, that was probably like favorite scene. And just like I don't know, for me like that was like really good. I was like really taken with it. Like I believed that he was playing this actor who was having a breakdown because he couldn't remember his lines because maybe he was drinking too much or whatever.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was the best acting I've seen in my entire
life.
I mean, even that scene was great too. So.
That was so good.
Oh my. Yeah, pushing her down and everything, and then afterwards his remorse, he's just like, "Oh, did I hurt you?" It's just like
elbow pads.
Yeah. That's why I'm saying, like, it was very odd to see this kind of movie where it's so, upbeat, so lighthearted, like Leo coming out on top after that, he's better than he thinks he is, he's not a washed up actor. He was really sad at the beginning of the movie saying like, I'm a has-been, I have nowhere else to go. And then you see, his talent on set, being able to take that role and elevating it to something else.
Yep.
And then getting his shot to be able to be in a Roman Polanski movie because he saved, Sharon Tate and them. Yeah.
Well, him and mostly Cliff, but yeah.
Well, I mean, he did
the work.
Torch somebody with a.
He did work. I'm not saying he didn't.
Yeah. Can we talk about that scene now? Can we talk about it?
Yes.
We've been dancing around it.
Also, real quick, I think one of the things, another scene that just kind of like, I think immediately grabbed me and had my attention for the rest of the movie was because they, in the beginning scene, they were shooting it at Musso and Frank. And I had just been there a couple months ago, I think, for Father's Day.
Wow. Does it look the same?
So it was like, yeah, it looks exactly the same. Like it's insane. So, well, obviously they shot it there while it looks as it is now. But from what I was told that like they haven't really, it's pretty much the same look it's always been.
They've maintained it from before.
Yeah.
I mean, this movie it screams old Hollywood, and it does it in a very tasteful way. That's definitely something that I'm sure he was trying to portray, and and Tarantino definitely preserved that for sure.
Yeah. So that was like an easy hook for me because I was like, oh, I know that place. So.
Did you have a martini while you were there?
I did not.
What?
Come on. Now we can go there and do that. Yeah, now we can go there and do that.
Oh, yeah.
So anyways, fast forward to the ending.
Oh my God, the ending, Jesus! Like the payoff for that, for everyone, whether or not you know anything about Sharon Tate, Charles Manson.
You can just hate hippies, really. Like, that was my take on it.
Yeah, it's just like if you just just want to see some good old fashioned Tarantino violence, like oh my gosh, what a treat! Like. I mean, even the build up to it was amazing. Like, Brad Pitt just fucking tripping on acid.
And, you're thinking that's not really happening?
I'm as real as a donut.
But you know that line that he says before, like, all this stuff happening? He's like, who are you? And then Tex actually says,
I'm the devil.
The devil, and I'm here to do the devil's work.
That was an actual statement from the Tate murder.
Yeah.
So.
Which is even better, right?
Yeah.
I was like, dang, this is the version I want to see actually happen in real life. That should have happened. But
I'm here to do the devil's work.
It felt so weird because like it looked like he had already like I don't know. Cliff looked like he had already killed one, and then he keeps bashing her head into like different like posters, and then on the mantle, and then on the table, and then on the floor. I'm like, dude, how much punishment can this person? I'm like, dude, I don't even think you're holding onto a skull anymore. It's like just this, I don't know, it's like, what are you bashing in now at this point? Just hair? You're hurting your hand most likely, if anything.
Hair and brain.
It's just so cathartic.
I don't know. Did they allude to the flamethrower being in the garden shed before
Yeah,
Leo went to go? When was that?
When Cliff went to go up on to fix the antenna.
There we go. Yes, I remember. I was like, oh my
I
gosh,
think
he's
they
gonna go
showed
get the
it
flamethrower. Hell
I
yes.
think they showed it in Tool Shed.
I think I remember seeing that. I was like, oh, that's gonna be important. That's gonna come up. I really want to see that shit.
Yeah.
Then he went ham with that, and that was awesome.
I think my favorite part of that whole scene was Cliff just taking the dog food and just chucking it.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh, and then
awesome.
smashing in her face.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it was just like boom.
Yeah.
And she just starts immediately screaming her brains out.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh my gosh. Like everything just went crazy after that. You know, the dog, or
Oh,
what
fuck.
was her name? Bretta?
No,
I don't remember.
Brandy.
Brandy. Yeah. Brandy. You know, just going crazy on Tex and like the
Chomping
Italian
on his
wife.
nuts.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And then I think they might have only shown it like real quick. I think is this right for Tex, like after the dog Brandy switched over to the girl, like Cliff started to just like boot stomp his face like into like the front, like the doorstep or something.
That did happen.
That was awesome.
Yeah, oh my god. There's just so many great things about that fight scene. And I think another great part was after Cliff gets tackled and he just notices the knife sticking out of his hip, you know. He just doesn't miss. He kind of pauses for a moment, just stares at the girl that did it, and without skipping a beat, just grabs her by the head and just starts slamming her face. I mean, there's nothing like a good Tarantino fight scene, you know.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking I'm gonna go back and see it again, but I'll probably go see it with my dad, and my dad definitely was very cognizant of all that stuff back in the day, so I'm sure I'll get his feedback on.
He's gonna walk out. He's gonna walk out because it's like, oh no, I don't want to see what happens.
No, or he's gonna walk out and be like, that's not the way this happened.
Okay, yeah. He's gonna.
I'll tell you.
Yeah, that's probably all the people who saw it and are like not liking it are probably like, that's not how this happened. Like
the historical accuracy on this is a farce.
Yeah.
There was a small note I read up on this part. I'm not sure if it's too important or if it was intentional, but earlier in the film, Leonardo DiCaprio was talking with that little girl about the book he was reading, right? It was called Easy Breezy.
Mm-hmm.
And he was talking about how it was about this cowboy who was the most badass cowboy in all the land, but after he took a hip injury, he had to deal with the rest of his life and figure out what's going on. And you know, at the finale of the movie, Cliff gets injured with the stab wound to the hip. So I guess that
Cliff is easy breezy.
Yeah, Cliff is the easy breezy of the story, but at the same time, you know, both him and DiCaprio are one and the same. You know, they live half of a double life, I suppose. They're both enveloped in this Hollywood lifestyle where, you know, DiCaprio is actually living the nice, easygoing part, and Cliff is just dedicated to his craft. You know, he doesn't complain about it. He does all the dirty work, but he still wants to be part of it. Yeah, he carries the load. So yeah, small thing I read up on.
Yeah, I didn't. One thing, I guess I don't know, and this might go into like the director's cut version, where I was watching the credits and it said Tim Roth was supposed to be in it, but it said he was cut, and so I'm guessing that Tim Roth was supposed to be Charles Manson.
No, Charles Manson was in the film.
Oh, he was?
2 seconds
Yeah,
or something?
he was there. Yeah, because
he was the guy that
when
showed
they
up.
moved in. Yep, right when they moved in and said, where's so-and-so?
So who was Tim Roth supposed to play?
I think he was supposed to be not Steve McQueen. Was it Steve McQueen? No, it was Burt Reynolds.
Oh. I don't know why Tim Roth would be cut. I thought they work, like him and Tarantino work a lot together.
Yeah, I don't know then. Oh, but funny thing, the actor who played Charles Manson is also playing Charles Manson in Mindhunter. Yeah, funny side.
What?
Yeah.
Wow, same universe.
Yeah, confirmed.
Does that mean Cliff is going to show up in Mindhunter and just like stomp his brains in?
Yeah, and then they're going to assemble the Tarantino Avengers in
Okay.
Mindhunter.
Okay.
Patent pending. we're
Trademark. We have a treatment.
All right. Well, I think we have pretty much wrapped up that. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, go see it.
Yeah, see the movie. If you're just tuning back in now after the spoilers are done, spoilers, we are out of the spoiler zone.
See it again.
So go see it.
And don't cry in front of the Mexicans.
Yeah.
Oh, and definitely go pee before you use the restroom way in advance.
Don't get anything to drink and use the restroom beforehand.
Yeah, no coffee, no Bang energy drinks, especially. Oh my.
Sean,
that sounds like a Sean special.
I did, and I wanted to get hyped up for the movie, and
you got too hyped up and you had to use the bathroom halfway through. So, all right, well, that wraps up our review and in-depth review of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This is a segment where we talk about what we're going to decide on, what we're going to see for next week, so we can review that, and then also anything else that they're interested in taking a look at. So, obviously, we have some possible choices already. I heard Hobbs and Shaw is one.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any other ones that maybe you guys want to consider?
Dora.
Oh, yeah. I was gonna say that. Well,
really?
I kind of want to watch it.
Sean and Ben will go. Sean and Ben will be the Dora Explorer people, and they can let us know what happens.
Like Tomb Raider, but with Dora the Explorer.
Yeah. And with Danny Trejo and Benicio del Toro. Come on.
Are we really voting that as the movie of the week for next week?
I am not.
Okay.
Wow, I don't think
it has to be one that is. It has to be one that's coming out or one that's already out.
Like one that's already out. Well, right now the movies that are coming out is The Kitchen, Dora and the Lost City of Gold, Brian Banks, The Art of Racing in the Rain, and Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
In the Dark, right? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm for sure gonna see Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, just whether or not it is picked. But
for sure,
I'm down for Hobbs and Shaw. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Would it be a problem if I haven't really seen the other one?
Don't worry about it.
Hobbs and Shaw is supposed to be a spin-off.
Yeah, it's in the same universe, but they don't really.
I think it's a standalone movie.
But they don't directly mention a lot of the main characters.
But what about Han?
Oh, you'll just have to see the movie.
Oh.
By the way, there are 3 post-credit scenes, so make sure you stick.
Wow.
Thank you for
one
that.
One of them is Han, right?
They're pretty important, and they're 2 really cool cameos from actors that you wouldn't expect to be in a Fast.
Paul Walker.
Ryan Reynolds.
You'll just have to stick till the end.
Ryan Reynolds, I knew it.
Well, thank you, Sean, for that.
It is.
So we look forward to. We'll be talking about. Join us next week when we will be talking about Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw, and we look forward to hearing about Dora and the Lost City of Gold from Sean and Ben. I'm sure Stu will probably not be the only one watching Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I'm sure Ben will probably end up watching that at some point. So we look forward to getting your take on that. The movie that I'm looking forward to seeing that's not Fast and Furious is The Art of Racing in the Rain.
Really?
I want to see the talking dog.
You really want to see Hero or the guy from Heroes and a dog and Amanda Seyfried?
Yes.
I mean, you're gonna see Dora the Explorer, Ben. So I don't know.
Yeah, but it has Benicio del Toro.
Well, we need to cover more movies. I think that's what's happening. But I will also probably see The Farewell. So I have a busy weekend coming up.
Yep. We all got our homework.
Yeah. So, anything else that you guys want to talk about before we go ahead and sign off? Anything interesting, new movie trailers or TV shows that you're going to be starting?
I think a good investment for all of us would be to get that unlimited Edwards movie thing.
Oh yeah, I was gonna. Yeah, are you guys on any subscriptions at the moment?
I am on AMC. I have the AMC.
I'm not, but because I saw I went at an 11 something showing, so it was matinee price. But yeah, if we end up doing this, if this becomes regular, I'll probably do
Yeah.
So, but I think as much as we all see movies on solo, I think we definitely should try to schedule at least once a month. We all go see a movie together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Try
Sure.
Definitely.
Okay.
Maybe
Don't
the
tell
big.
David.
Yeah.
What?
Maybe like the big ones. Like I don't know. Whatever we can.
Explorer.
No.
All right. Cool. See you tomorrow, guys.
All right.
Yeah.
Dora the Explorer. All right.
All right. Well, this is Sean, Stu, Ben, and David signing off on 2.5 cinos. Please
Cincos.
still go over, or cincos, go over to the straw poll and vote on the name, but it probably won't matter. We're still going to end up being the 2.5 dos and a half
Cincos.
cinos.
You said it. You heard him.
Cincos.
Dos and a half cinos.
Cincos.
Cinos.
I'm with Ben now. So
If it's
I'm on
cincos,
Ben's
it's
side.
going to be spelled with an S.
I don't know if I like
It doesn't
that.
make any sense. That's the reason why Ben said he liked it.
Cinco's with the 5 instead of an S.
Ooh, cool. There you go. I'm into that. I'm feeling that.
And that's why we
let's
have
do it.
Sean on the
Hey,
podcast. John,
beautiful. Beautiful.
look forward
Love
to
it.
having you on next week as well.
Thanks for
It
having
was
me,
good
guys.
speaking with all of you. Thank you for joining us once again on Dos and a Half Cincos. We'll see you guys next time.
Welcome to the love and hate David Chen segment of the show.
Yeah. Tell me, Ben, what do you hate about David this week?
I mean, what is there not to hate? I mean, the name, the face, the smell. I mean, God.
The smell?
The sound. Definitely the sound. Oh my God. If I had to listen to a podcast with David Chen on it, like, kill me.
I think my thing is I hate the hair. The hair, I gotta go. The hair is the worst.
Oh my God.
I don't even understand what he's doing with it. I mean, is
What,
he trying to be a mop? Is he trying to be a broom? What is it?
I don't know, but
Guys,
it
this
makes
is
me hate
so
him.
real.
So.
He's definitely the worst Chinaman on the show.
Oh, I'm the only Chinaman on the show.
He's the worst Taiwanese on the show.
Yeah.
Really.
I'm the only one.
And easily the worst.
But it's not even close.
Okay.
All right, this week's episode brought to you by Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Oh man, I wish we were sponsored by Amazon Prime. Then we would literally just be like, we don't need to do anything on this podcast.
Podcast. Yeah, because Jeff Bezos really needs us to really promote Amazon Prime because I don't think enough people are.
Well,
using
you get free 2-day delivery.
Actually, it's 1 day now.
Yeah, it's true.
Or sometimes.
Amazon Prime now.
Sometimes it's 1 day.
Sometimes actually it's 8 hours.
Actually, there was one time where I needed something. It was actually Thomas's present. I forgot to get him one of the presents. And I was like, oh, fuck, I need to get over there, and it was like the night before. And then I went to go buy something or look for something. I was like, hey, if you order now, you can get it by tomorrow morning. I'm like,
buying it now.
I've been more impressed if you had it delivered directly to
Thomas's house. Be like,
I did deliver it to Thomas's house. That was the best part. Except he went up to me. He's like, hey, Ben, did you get this for me? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, oh.
Really?
Yeah.
The question is actually the best part. Really?
Oh wait, yeah. Because we got there and he already had it.
Yeah, and he said that he said it was just really weird. No, he said it was really weird because no one delivers to his house, so he's just like he thought it was something suspicious. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I threw it in the trash.
Yeah, that was a bomb.
I actually called the police and they took it away. That was yours?